Welcome to the Lemon Lounge, where we match you with live arts you'll enjoy. I'm Cindy Marie Jenkins, and here's today's co-host, Teresa Giacino.
Hello.
Today, we're going to expand our coverage of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. You may have been following us online. All our correspondents have been tweeting and Instagramming, but now we're going to go into more depth and focus on shows that are inspired by pop culture.
You got Bronies, you got Little Women, you got World of Warcraft.
All today on the Lemon Lounge. Welcome back to the Lemon Lounge, where we match you with live arts.
Now, please join us to continue the conversation on Twitter using hashtag LemonLoungeLA, or you can come to our website, thelemonlounge.com.
So today we're focusing on the Hollywood Fringe Festival picks that are inspired by pop culture. Now let me introduce our co-host, Teresa. Teresa Giacino is a freelance writer whose pop culture writing can be subscribed to at beaconreader.com, and she's appeared in such outlets as Latina Magazine, Tour.com, and the Hugo-nominated anthology Chicks Unravel Time. Hello.
Please subscribe. I need the money.
We also have, in addition to Teresa, we have Jaquetta Satmari. She is a Fringe veteran joining us today. And she's a New York-based writer, performer, producer, director of the Festival of the Offensive. And you can find her at biggunsbigtobacco.com and her weekly podcast, heyyouKnowIt.com.
Thanks for having me today. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. Can't wait to talk. We also have Lemuel H. Thornton III. He is one of our Lemon Lounge producers, also a correspondent, and he's producer and company member at Moving Arts, which is a local theater company that focuses on new works. Hello, Lem.
Hey.
So, we're going to go around, and I want your top Lemon Lounge LA picks from the first week and a half of the Fringe Festival. Teresa.
I definitely have some great picks. The show Women by Beth Dyes Incorporated. It's a great mashup of the novel Little Women and the show Girls. And it really is, that might sound weird, but it's really amazing. The next pick I have is a play called Ligature Marks by MacLeod. A great exploration of a couple of losers, pretty much, who bond over an online multiplayer game called Noir. And my third pick is Bronies the Musical. Again, some of you might be skeptical, Bronies the Musical, but it's actually an amazing look at what it's like to be a weirdo and how that's okay.
Because we need more help with that.
Yes, I need more help being a weirdo.
Yeah.
Jaquetta, your top picks.
Okay, my top picks are, I only have two. Death by PowerPoint, which is kind of a skewering of TED Talks, which I hate. But it's very, very well done. And my second pick is Lyndon Arden Stole the Highlights, which is a one-man show. And it takes, the source material is the Van Morrison song, which I was not familiar with, but it kind of illuminates the story behind, or possible story behind, this well-known pop song.
Awesome. And of course, full disclosure, that is the writer-performer is Colin Mitchell, editor of Bitter Lemons.
Yeah, and he did not make me say any of that.
No, he's not pulling our arms.
No.
Len, what are your top picks?
Topics. One of them is Death by PowerPoint. Because I enjoyed TED Talks, and so it was a fun twist on what those are. There was the 7 Seductions of Taylor Swift, which is a really kind of weird and interesting take on sort of Taylor Swift's love life. And then Bronies the Musical, which I was surprised, not necessarily about Bronies, but kind of that place for like all the internet kids to live and come together, I guess.
Awesome. And my top pick is El Ultimo Coconut, which is a Latino cyber nerd who gets caught between his family, going to college, and World of Warcraft addiction. And also tequila. There's quite some tequila going on.
Is it served?
No, although there are some shows that serve like whiskey.
Yes, at Lyndon Arden, you will get served. If he says, "Can I interest you?" Get interested. I passed that.
Awesome. I really love the show. Gerald is a great performer. It's a solo show, and it's one of the only times that I feel like tour de force is a phrase I can legitimately use. He's just really great with all the characters, but it is not autobiographical, which it seems to be a selling point when I tell people at the Fringe tent. I've also heard that $1 Million Hair from Lost Moon Radio is excellent, and they're usually like a Fringe top pick. Mm-hmm. And Gimple Capped which
I see that.
yeah, it's really great. It's a show about what it's like to be gimpy, crippled, handicapped, disabled in modern day, and it's really quite amazing. So now that we've seen a lot more shows than are our picks, so I want to ask everybody why you think pop culture can or shouldn't be represented on stage. What is it that like live performance can offer to this cultural conversation that's already happening?
Well, one of the shows that is not one of my picks for various reasons was The Last Temptation of Paula Deen. So this show deals with the saga of Paula Deen in the media, supposedly her dealing with her own racism or being found out to be some type of a bigot. And so what I was hoping to see in that show was a discussion of the things that we didn't see in the pop culture presentation of the saga of Paula Deen. Mm-hmm. So by bringing pop culture to the stage, you have an opportunity to use it as a jumping off point to really talk about something else, maybe, Well, and like, for instance, I don't know Little Women or Girls. I don't know the Van Morrison song, but I know enough about them that I think you can go into it. Yeah, you start with a basic context with pop culture. So I don't know very much about bronies, but when it was explained to me, okay, I remember My Little Pony. This is a subculture where people seem to be attached to My Little Pony, but what are they doing with it?
Yeah.
What are the reasons behind it? And bronies, I think the musical addresses that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something when you're specifically talking about live performance, there's something about being in a room with people who are into that stuff. When I did see bronies, you could tell who the bronies were in the audience, and there were people who were not bronies and had no concept of My Little Pony at all. But you could kind of feel in the room like the bronies laughing at the in-jokes about My Little Pony, and then the other people who had no idea what they were talking about kind of looking at them and going, oh, there's something here. And so it kind of brings more information to the people who don't know what's going on, and makes them kind of want to look into it more, or at least want to understand why they're so into it. So it kind of bridges that gap.
Yeah. For me, when I saw bronies, having a herd or group of bronies there, what it did, it validated sort of the writing. I think that you can tell that this person actually did the research and the work to understand that culture, that they're able to respond to it,
And what it seems like bronies was able to do that maybe Paula Deen didn't is they assumed what the reference is, what the pop culture reference is, and then they went deeper with it and made it something that everybody is to the human connection of, being weird or being a little off, or off from the norm. Whatever people think is the norm.
I think there's a couple of different ways to do it. I also saw Boss, which is the untold Tony Danza story. Mm-hmm. And so that was in the way that women was a mashup between Girls, which I haven't seen, and Little Women, with which I'm fairly familiar. The Tony Danza piece was a mashup of the life story of Tony Danza, but looking at it as a crime piece. So they added like a mob element to it. So it didn't really give us anything new, and it didn't really peer into pop culture or change the way that I looked at Tony Danza's work or I looked at television. But it was more of like just laying two things together. Mm-hmm. And you saw Women, so I wanted to know.
I didn't get to see Women because my show was late.
You saw Women.
I did see Women.
And you know Girls.
Yes.
So how did that work for you? So they have two things, they put it together, but what was the commentary?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was happy about, is that there was commentary. There's something to be said for being really specific in order to be universal.
Yeah.
And like you said, not really having to explain to people, just like assuming that people know one or the other. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of tell the story from that place so that you kind of illuminate both pieces of source material. So like, I'd read Little Women, and having those characters enacted by the snarky, self-involved characters in Girls really illuminates the fact that the original book, Little Women, was kind of sexist, was kind of, it's like, we kind of give this to little girls to read, and it's like, the ideas in here are kind of messed up.
I got that from seeing the play, and I didn't remember it from reading it as a little girl. Mm-hmm. So it did make me think about how that book is kind of a training manual. Yeah. It was used as a training manual for girls at that time about how to be that type of person and that gender role.
Yeah.
And seeing it juxtaposed against girls actually illuminated that. So I think that was successful.
And that's actually really interesting because I remember when a few years ago the RSC did Romeo and Juliet all over Twitter. All the characters had a Twitter account. And I was like, oh my God, Mercutio's just an ass. And like Romeo's really lame. Like because it was in this pop element in this new form that we weren't used to yet, really. It was when Twitter was sort of new. I was like, I all of a sudden understand Romeo and Juliet.
And also, I think it can take the preciousness away from it. Sometimes when you juxtapose it against some modern cultural norms, like in the case of Little Women, that's a piece of canon.
Yeah.
And now putting it in this context, it's like, no, let's have a look at it from a less precious point of view.
Yeah.
Paula Deen had a couple of scenes that I thought were really interesting. There was one, I think we discussed this before, where there were 3 black people who worked the slave wedding and who were the slave. And that scene was fascinating because you're like, that's what the media doesn't talk about. So they interviewed everybody else, but they didn't go and really interview, like, what was it like? Why did you choose to take a gig as a slave in this wedding? Well, I needed to get paid, or aren't we always slaves? Or how could you resist? And
Like this is it's so ironic.
Yeah.
Like I have to just
and then, there's one person who like took pictures of it. It's like, yes, why not? Like if someone was like, hey, I need you to come as a slave, you're like, sure, can I bring my camera?
Of course, yeah.
That's
a story.
Selfies.
Yeah, I think at Plymouth Plantation, they still have people dressed up as Native Americans, like having Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah. When was that wedding?
I don't know. This was like a year or 2 ago. The Paula Deen thing, though, I felt like it just a lot of it retold the story of things that we already know.
It's like we don't need to hear it.
And I feel like because it's such a fresh thing, we're already on the same page.
Yeah.
So let's go somewhere different with it.
Great. So remember, all our picks are below, and those are the ones that we feel were successful in this. Now, if you want some other opinions, Bitter Lemons also has some great writers that are really fringing it up, and they have some really cool ways that they're bringing more fringe shows to you. So Jenny Webb, who you might know from Los Angeles Female Playwrights Initiative, she's highlighting plays written by Fringe Femmes. And the full listing of women on the Fringe can also be found on lafpi.com.
And also there's Ashley's Lemonade Stand, which if you want some refreshing theater, Ashley Webb will tell you what picks you should be looking out for.
Shayna Ochoa, who also has a Fringe show, is interviewing plays and artists that she thinks are bringing a really unique perspective to the Fringe Festival.
And all the links, by the way, are below this video.
Hello. Now, once you decide on a show, then you have to find it and find the theater.
Which is challenging.
Yes, there are many Fringe venues around, wonderful ones, and some of them, they have multiple spaces within one theater, which sometimes makes it hard to find your show. I actually know these venues, I'm familiar with them, but I sometimes even go into the wrong theater. So our producers Lem and Sarah, they made this handy-dandy venue walkthrough, and we're starting with the Hudson Theaters.
Hi, I'm Lem from the Lemon Lounge, here at the Hudson Theaters located on Santa Monica Boulevard between Hudson and Wilcox. The Hudson Theaters have 3 spaces, the main stage, the Guild, and the Comedy Central or Backstage Theater. Come, take a look with me. If you have tickets to the main stage or the Guild Theaters, you'll want to come here first. This is where the box office is. From here, they'll give you your program and send you to the correct theater after that. One of the great things about the Hudson is that they've put this little line here on the floor that directs you to anywhere you need to go while you're here. This space here is the Guild Theaters. They're smaller, second stage. Come with me. We're now at the box office of the Backstage or the Comedy Central stage. If you have tickets for our show there, you'll want to follow this line all the way to the end. This is where you'll grab your programs or your tickets, and they'll send you into the theater from here. So when you come to the Hudson Theaters and you're looking for parking, there's plenty of meters on both sides of Santa Monica Boulevard, as well as up Hudson. But your best bet is to park in the lot on Hudson. Bring some cash with you so you can pay your attendant. But the parking spot's really easy to find. It's next to a giant white mural right over there. If you come to the Hudson theaters and you're a little hungry, you're in luck. They've got two great places. They've got the Hudson Cafe, which is nestled between the Guild and the main stage. That has everything you might want in terms of small bites, Wi-Fi, beer, wine, soda, snacks, things like that. If you're looking for more of a substantial meal, you can come to Eat This right on the corner. They also have beer and wine, but they also do more substantial meals. And if you come on a Sunday matinee, they actually have a really awesome brunch with bottomless mimosas. Share your experiences and join the conversation on Twitter at Lemon Lounge LA. I'm Lem for the Lemon Lounge, and we'll see you at the theater.
So all week we have been connecting to the shows we're seeing through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now I want you to make a night of it. So you just send me your ideas for shows you want to see, your interests, time limitations, and we will curate. Like at Splinkered Spark told me that she wanted to see shows about identity or gender that were immersive and sort of unique in some poetry. Now, you have your Fringe brochure, you go to the back, there's a venue map, and that is where we're starting. Cool. On Friday the 20th, I think that would be a great night for you at Splintered Spark. You want to start with something immersive and delicious at Theater Asylum, where we are. That's number 8 on the map, and She Bakes Live. I have heard such delicious things.
I heard it's gluten-free.
Yes.
The whole show, gluten-free?
Yeah. She's from New York. She's really awesome. And that starts at 7 p.m. at Theater Asylum. And then you just walk a few blocks over to Wilcox, where you're going to hit the Fringe Central tent. That is number 1 on your map. And there you can either eat from whatever food truck they have, and they're usually pretty delicious. You can just grab a drink, you can grab a soda, or just really hang out. At 8 o'clock, they'll have the Cabaret Stage, and you'll see segments from people's shows. You'll see just general things people want to just share, and you might find some other shows that you want to see there. Bella Luna is an awesome cabaret host, and you can either stay there for some conversation in the tent, or you want to go at 10:15. I highly suggest catching Consider the Night.
I do too.
Which is across the street at the complex. It is a dark comedy based on texts from the Harlem Renaissance, the Left Bank, and the Mexican Revolution. Work in progress, as Jaquetta said. Such a cool new company.
Sounds really
This is a cheap evening too. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, very cheap. Now, if you want to end your night on a funnier note, just wait a little longer and see El Ultimo Coconut at 11:15 show. It's also at the complex. Check for what theater it's in. You will definitely leave there with a smile on your face. So if you want to make a night of it, you just take our audience survey or tweet at Lemon Lounge LA, and we will share what we know. Thank you. Here we are at our last segment, Rant and Rave. I am so excited. Everyone here is going to get 20 seconds to say anything they want on theme or the Fringe Festival. Are we ready? Okay, Jaquetta, you're up first.
Okay.
And go.
There is no midnight. Your show is at 11:55. If you list it at midnight, it becomes very confusing in the guide. I tried to see a show at midnight on Friday. Turned out it was midnight on Saturday. Guess what? Didn't see that show. There is no Pepe Sylvia. There is no midnight.
Thank you. And Lem, you're up. 3, 2, 1.
Can we all just be nice to one another when we're running around? I mean, I know it's stressful and everyone's got their show and their stuff to do, but like, don't yell at each other. Let's be friendly, at least. As my friends say, hashtag make a living by living together.
Oh, very nice. And Teresa, are you ready?
I am.
Go.
If you're going to do a pop culture show, don't rely on the pop culture element to make it successful. I know that a lot of people do shows to get butts and seats, and so you want to have like a show about a TV show or whatever. The shows that are successful are the shows that go beyond that source material and have something unique to say. So don't rely on the fact that you're doing a show about Game of Thrones to make your show worthwhile.
Oh, that'd be cool. Okay.
It'd be cool.
And me. 99 cents is the cost of a poster board, and that is all it takes to help your audience find your show. For the preview of Valerian Player's show Odessa, the guy had a really smart hat at the box office with their postcard and a poster board that just said the name Odessa. Everyone will thank you for it when they find your show so quickly and easily. Awesome. And I really want to thank you for being our first audience. This was our first episode, and we really want your feedback. So you can always find the Lemon Loungers through @Lemon Lounge LA.
And we also want to thank Theater Asylum, because without them, we would totally be out on the street right now.
Yeah. And don't forget that all the shows we recommend are linked below, so please see them and tell us which ones you liked.
Or which ones you didn't like.
That too. Thank you so much, Dequetta.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
And Lem, thank you for being on and off set, such a wonderful asset.
I'm so excited that this is our first episode.
Yay, we did it! Yes. I am Cinemarie Jenkins.
And I'm Teresa Giacino.
That was episode 1 of The Lemon Lounge. We will see you next week.